Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Samurai Goddess. The goddess next door takes on kung fu killers in this action-packed martial arts Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Samurai Goddess in paperback and e-readers today. If you were to take a look at guys like Ta-Nehisi Coates and Jesse Williams, on the surface, you would believe that these guys are pro-black and so concerned with the black community. And if you listen to their rhetoric and you listen to the narratives that they pushed and promoted in their speeches and in their books like Between the World and Me, you would believe guys like the Negro Coates and Jesse Williams are pretty much pro-black and real brothers. And that's not the case at all. When you look at guys like Ta-Negro Coates and Jesse Williams, they are actually buffer Negroes. What is a buffer Negro? A buffer Negro is someone handpicked by white liberals to represent the black community. And they have two purposes in the black community. On defense, their job is to set up and be a wall between the white liberal and the black community. And their job on defense is to pretty much prevent the Negroes from approaching the white liberal, and even more so, seeing that the white liberal is the biggest racist in the room. That is their job on defense. On offense, their job is to be an intermediary between themselves and the black community, and their job is to push and promote the narratives that the white liberal wants pushed and promoted in the black community, and further his agenda in the black community. That is the job of your buffer Negro in a nutshell. And both your Ta-Negro Coates and Messy Jesse Williams do that job in two different ways. Now, your Jesse Williams pretty much was getting established to do this job in last year when he went out here to win that BET Minstrel Award. Now, your Jesse Williams pretty much set himself up with a background in the New York City area as this school teacher and set himself up as some sort of community activist, pretty much working from the grassroots to say that he was so concerned with the black community. That was the foundation of his narrative, that was the foundation of his promotion in the community, and that's what he wanted to represent as his image to the world. And as he did this and started elevating himself in his acting career on Grey's Anatomy, he was being seen by many in the black community as some sort of community activist and some sort of hero. And all of this was to reach a climax when he was handpicked to win this BET award for humanitarianism and make that speech. All of this was staged and choreographed to pretty much create and establish your Jesse Williams as a buffer Negro. They gave him that BET award to pretty much be one of a new buffer Negroes in the community. And as he made that speech, it looked like he was so concerned with the black community and the black community's issues. And Jesse Williams pretty much was the perfect spokesman for the black community because his job was he was pretty much very qualified to do that job because he was a light-skinned black man with creamy skin and crystal blue eyes. And that allowed him to pretty much mesmerize all these Negro women out here who pretty much lust after light-skinned men. So it didn't matter if Jesse Williams told many of these Negro women to go jump in a river, they would go do it because Jesse Williams has that light skin and those crystal blue eyes that pretty much spellbind them and will make them do whatever they want. And that's what the white liberal wants in his buffer Negroes. He wants them to be able to control these Negro masses and make sure that they are under their control and that he doesn't have to be confronted by these buffer Negroes when he has to go out and do things like campaign in elections or go out and promote products in the black community or do things to keep the black community oppressed. So he pretty much uses the buffer Negro to control the Negro masses. So a guy like Jesse Williams pretty much does that job very effectively as his spokesman and his mouthpiece. Now, a guy like Ta-Negro Coates is a completely different animal. Now, your Ta-Negro Coates is another buffer Negro who was set up by white liberals to promote a political agenda. And your Ta-Negro Coates, pretty much, again, like Jesse Williams, was handpicked to be a buffer Negro. Now, Ta-Negro Coates pretty much promoted the white liberals' narrative in a different way. Now, your Ta-Negro Coates came the same grassroots way that Jesse Williams did, talking about numerous issues in the black community, and then wrote a book called Between the World and Me. And this book, Between the World and Me, was published by white liberals, and it discussed issues like the Michael Brown murder, the death of Eric Garner, and many numerous issues. And he went out and promoted many ideas about this father talking to his son, and he pushed the white liberals' ideas regarding victimization in that book. And because he pushed the ideas that the white liberal has regarding victimization, the white liberal gives Ta-Negro Coates a National Book Award. However, after he gets this National Book Award, he is then pretty much put on the national stage and then is handpicked to write the Marvel Comics series Black Panther. And it's when he writes the Marvel Comics series Black Panther that we see that Ta-Negro Coates is being set up to be a buffer Negro. Because when it comes down to Ta-Negro Coates' being handpicked to write this Black Panther, we start to see the parallels between himself and Alice Walker. Now, in 1985, Alice Walker, another buffer negress, wrote and published the book The Color Purple. And white liberals pretty much went out here and gave Alice Walker a National Book Award for The Color Purple, saying that it was a literary classic. However, when we look at Alice Walker's The Color Purple, this book pretty much presents a misandristic idea and image of black men that reflects the narrative of white liberals. It promotes the concepts of white feminism and black feminism in the black community, which is another talking point of white liberals. And it also promotes homosexuality and lesbianism as a social norm. And this is what the white liberal wants to push in the black community. And he hoped to use Ta-Negro Coates' run on Black Panther to promote these concepts in the same way Alice Walker promoted them in The Color Purple almost 30 years ago. And this is why your Ta-Negro Coates is just as much a buffer Negro as Jesse Williams or Alice Walker. Because when it comes down to your Ta-Negro Coates on this run on Black Panther, he was handpicked to do it, even though he had no previous experience writing African American science fiction, no previous experience writing African American fantasy, no experience writing comic books, but he's picked to pretty much write this Black Panther comic. And because many Negro nerds thought of this guy and his activism as some sort of qualification, they didn't look deeper into his background. And because they didn't look in his background, they pretty much were all behind him, not understanding that the white liberal was behind the scenes manipulating them and making them believe that this guy was on their side and that he was some sort of real brother. You couldn't tell many of these Negro nerds out here that this guy wasn't a con artist and that they were being conned by a buffer Negro. And what they use the buffer Negro to do, again, is to promote and push their agenda. And that's what this Ta-Negro Coates was doing with this Black Panther series. He pretty much was out here using the Black Panther book to promote and push the homosexual agenda that white liberals have been trying to push and promote in the black community for the last 30 years. And Ta-Negro Coates decides he's going to change this Black Panther character from the mission that he has to do this, because what he does in the comic is he takes the Black Panther, who was the leader of Wakanda and the king of Wakanda, and he makes him a secondary character in the book with his own name. Then he goes out of his way to push these Dora Milaje guards and these lesbian Dora Milaje guards in their relationship and push that to the forefront of the book, next to exposition, which pretty much breathes new life in the old stereotypes about Africa. However, the primary focus is on these two Dora Milaje guards and their almost lesbian relationship. And he then, after he starts writing the series, goes out and recruits black feminist writer Roxane Gay to write the Black Panther spin-off series. And a lot of people got upset about a year ago when I said that this was pretty much a setup, and I got kicked out of one Facebook group for pretty much presenting an argument that this black feminist was not the right person to write this Black Panther series, and that this pretty much was a setup towards pushing an agenda. And when we saw the Roxane Gay coming in, she was all about pushing that feminist and lesbian agenda, an agenda that pretty much fits the narrative of white liberals and pretty much promotes this narrative of homosexuality in the black community as a social norm. And white liberals have been doing this for the last 20 to 25 years, and you can see it as far back as the 1990s when they began promoting things like black men wearing dresses, and then later on pushing it even further with shows like Empire and then movies like Moonlight. And this is all about social engineering the Negro mind to think a certain way, because what the white liberal wants to do is the white liberal does not like heterosexual black relationships. The white liberal does not like heterosexual black on black love. And the white liberal does not like strong images of masculine black men. So he wants to destroy those images through a social engineering campaign. And the only way he can do that is by promoting propaganda through buffer Negroes like Ta-Nehisi Coates. Because if he has a buffer Negro like Ta-Nehisi Coates to go out and push his agenda, the Negroes will pretty much believe everything that he says, believe everything he says is true, because he is presented to the black community as some sort of pro-black, some sort of real brother, some sort of brother who pretty much knows what's going on in the community, and if he says it's right, then it's right. But what many would not know by looking at his background is that he is a hand-picked buffer Negro, pretty much set up in that position to pretty much promote the white liberals' agenda and promote the white liberals' narrative to the black masses. This is why you have to question any Negro who comes to you from mainstream media, because when these guys come out of nowhere from to the mainstream, you have to ask some hard questions of them. Because when I look at a guy like Jesse Williams, I pretty much saw the same pattern setting up with Barack Obama. Barack Obama was a junior senator, and he came to the 2004 Democratic National Convention, gave the inaugural speech, and then white liberals pushed him to the forefront to become the first black president. And that first black president was all about pushing an agenda for white liberals, and that agenda was not beneficial to black people. The same thing with your Jesse Williams. This guy pretty much came up from the grassroots and then was brought up with this BET Humanitarian Award ready for a push. And the same thing with your Ta-Nehisi Coates. Now, your Ta-Nehisi Coates pretty much wrote himself a book, Between the World and Me, was published by white liberal publishers, and then given a National Book Award, and then put on a national stage. Then after he's put on this national stage, he is then hand-selected to work for Marvel Comics and write their Black Panther character and go out here and push the agenda that the white liberal wants pushed in the black community. And this is commonplace for white liberals. It's what they use buffer Negroes for. They use buffer Negroes to be the intermediary between themselves and the black community and be on defense to be the wall that prevents the Negroes from coming to attack the white liberal and reveal him to be the racist he truly is, and on offense to go out here and push the narrative and agendas that the white liberal wants pushed in the black community. So people have to be on guard of anyone that the white liberal puts on a mainstream media stage, because oftentimes when it comes down to these buffer Negroes, they don't have the black community's best interests at heart, and they're all about pushing agendas for white liberals that pretty much are to the detriment of black people in the black community. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe, and you can donate to my PayPal or my Patreon so I can help get these SJS Direct 2017 books onto the marketplace.